everyone, this is Rachel. Thanks for clicking on my video. And y'all, I know by now you've heard that Diddy's son Christian was accused of SAing a woman. This is, like I said, beginning to be a daily occurrence with the Combs camp. So let's just get into the story. Now, this son is Diddy's son with Kim Porter. And Christian is 26 years old. And what the story is that in December of 2022, Diddy chartered a yacht that I guess he was going to use for his upcoming New Year's Eve party. And the woman who is accusing Christian is, I guess, one of the crew members. She worked on the yacht. So what they say that he's being accused of is SAing the woman. I'm just going to say the words: sexually assaulting the woman, sexually harassing the woman, and causing her emotional distress. Now, what allegedly happened is, I guess Christian saw this woman on board and he kind of took a shine to her. So, according to the woman, he allegedly started pressuring her to take a shot of tequila that he poured for her. Now, I guess with this being the son of the person that chartered it, they keep on writing you about having a drink with them. The girl went ahead and took the drink. Big mistake. Because after drinking it, the woman believed that something was in it, that it had been spiked or something, because she, I guess, was not feeling quite right. Now, she goes on to allege that Christian began groping her legs, her breasts, her anus, and her vagina. Now, while reading the story, it seems that she was able to get away from that first encounter with him, groping her. He then later, I guess, found her again on the boat, on the yacht, and cornered her in the movie theater on the yacht. And then he began groping her again and attempting to have her perform oral sex on him. She says he took off his clothes and he began grabbing her again. And she had to fight to try to get him up off of her. Now, according to the woman, luckily someone walked in on them. And I guess maybe that is what stopped this from being a full-fledged, outright RAPE assault. But the woman says that due to, I guess, what happened, it has caused her emotional distress and she is not having it, and she filed a lawsuit against him. Now, I believe that this is the incident that Little Rod spoke about in this recent lawsuit that he filed. Remember, he said he witnessed some of this and he was able to, I guess, get it on tape. He said that he witnessed Christian drugging and sexually assaulting a woman. He has audio of the woman begging and telling Christian to stop. So maybe this did go all the way, I'm not sure. We won't actually know, I guess, until they go into court. But y'all, what I'm upset about is that it looks like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so to speak. That Diddy has taught his sons the same depraved behavior that he is part of with women. Now, on Diddy, for his part, he's being sued along with his son for premises liability. And I guess that's because Diddy is the one who allegedly chartered the yacht. Plus, he's also being sued for aiding and abetting his son. I don't know if maybe he paid the woman off not to say nothing of what happened. I don't know. But he's named in the lawsuit. Y'all, let me just tell you something about this. When we as parents, you know, party and, have our friends over, or we, you know, go to their houses and we take our kids, or when we are just living life. I was a young parent. I had my oldest child. I only have two kids. I had my son when I was 22. So that means that during my 20s and 30s, I was raising him. I was not an angel. We had fun. We did the same young things that every other young adult. We partied, we had fun, we had friends over, everything. But there were things that we did not, expose my son to. Not that we were doing anything crazy like what this fool Diddy and his crew were doing, but there were just some things as a parent that I didn't want my child exposed to. I also remember being young and my parents partying with their friends, or they would gather all of us up, and us kids, and put us in the back of the car, and we would go over either one of my aunt's house or one of my mother's friends. When we would get there as kids, the kids had one place to go and the adults had another, and neither crossed over into the other's territory. Meaning, whatever area they told us as kids that we needed to stay in, we did, you know. And so we weren't seeing a lot of the partying that my parents were doing. We might have been hearing it, but we weren't seeing it because, when we were growing up, kids stayed in the kids' place. This even extended to, my mother, my parents shielding us from certain things. It even played out when I went to seventh grade, to middle school. I remember that when I went to middle school, I was so excited, to be going. So the first day of middle school, I remember my mother telling me that, once the day was over, she wanted to talk about it, tell her what I liked about it and how it was different from elementary school. So I remember going the first day, and I remember being in the bathroom at middle school, and I remember seeing these girls behind me smoking what I call some quote unquote funny smelling cigarettes. I remember the cigarettes smelled like a skunk. So when I got home that afternoon, not thinking anything about it, when I was telling my mother about my first day of school, I also mentioned those funny smelling cigarettes. And I remember that my mother started chuckling a little bit. And she said, Rachel, you don't know what those are? Now, at the time, I was 13. Seventh grade, I was 13. And I was like, no, it was a cigarette. It just smelled funny. So I remember my mother had me tell her the story again, what I saw, how they were smoking it and all of that. And my mother laughed again, and she explained to me that, that was marijuana, it was weed, and it was a drug and everything about it. And she said that basically she didn't know that I had never smelt it before. She knew that I'd never smelt it in her house, but she was sure, I guess, when I went outside, that maybe some of my friends were doing it. And I said, no, not that I know of. If they did, I'd never smelt it. So my mother finished explaining to me, what it was, and she didn't want me to mess with it. It was not good for me. I remember her telling me that. So I went on my merry way. But later on, I came downstairs and my mother was on the phone talking to her sister, my aunt, telling her about it, laughing away. And I heard my mother say, I guess I've shielded these kids really well because Rachel went to middle school today, and girl, she didn't even know what it was. But you know what? I thank her for that because it kept us innocent. Now, I know to a lot of people that might sound weird that at 13 I had never smelt it. I didn't even know what it was. Now, I'm not trying to say that my parents were any kind of special parents. They are a product of the 60s. My mother was an adult in the 60s and 70s. And y'all know in the 60s and 70s, they were getting their party on. The 60s and 70s actually were the experimental time for drugs, you know? So I'm pretty sure that they, had their fun. It just didn't affect us. They didn't bring us into their lifestyle. They shielded us from a lot. So when I think about Diddy and his sons, I can't help but to think Diddy has homes, he probably has nannies, he probably more than likely had a way for when these boys were growing up that were, living with him, that he could have kept them away from what he was doing. Had his life as a dad, a father, their home, and that was one part of his life. And then he has another life, where he's having his freak offs and everything, but didn't involve them in that because Diddy had to know that one day that lifestyle may come back to bite him, that he might slip up and do something to someone and end up in trouble. Why would you want to drag your child into that? Why would you want to take the risk of your child seeing you do something like some of the things that Diddy is being accused of? I wouldn't want that. And I'm pretty sure that wherever his mother is, Kim Porter, I like to think that she's in heaven looking down, shaking her head, or in her grave doing spinning, you know, just spinning with what she's seeing happen to her son under the direction of his father. There is no mother, at least I can't think of one, that would want her son involved in something that could end up having him in jail. There is no woman that would want her son to be charged with assaulting a woman in any way. You know, I have a son myself. My son just turned 37 yesterday, April 4th. If I had heard or if I found out that he had physically assaulted, mentally assaulted, sexually assaulted any woman, caused her any type of emotional distress, I think I've said this in several videos, I would be too through with him. I am not going to condone or support him in hurting any woman. I couldn't do it. That's not the type of mother that I am. So I'm pretty sure that wherever Kim is, this has got to be like the worst thing she could ever imagine going on with her son. Y'all, like I said, this story with this Combs clan, it's it's like a soap opera. Literally, if something is going to be happening like this every day, y'all, we need to start a Combs family series, come in a couple times a week, like the show, like those series on television where maybe they come on 2 times a week and tell you the updates, because with this family so much is going on. And again, as a parent, I cannot believe that he involved his sons in this, and that now they are being accused and dragged into court over stuff dealing with sex. What type of depraved human being is Diddy? I mean, remember, he's a father. He's a father. And there are a lot of men out there that probably do their dirt, but they don't want their kids a part of it. Every man out there is not like Diddy. There are some men that want to be looked at with respect, by their children, not like they're one of the fellas. It's a lot of fathers out there that have sons that they want their sons to respect them in a certain way. They don't want to feel like they're boys, you know, because Diddy basically, when he involved his son in this, it's like now they're best buds. We drugging and essaying women left and right, allegedly. Y'all, I don't know. This mess is crazy. I want to know what y'all think about it. Um, about Diddy involving his kids. And like I said yesterday, I pray that his daughters are not have not been exposed to any of this because they're still young, and you don't want them to have a warped view of relationships of men and women. It's a whole lot involved there, y'all. Just let me know down in the comments what you think. As always, thanks for watching my video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.